Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
What is good, everybody? What is good? Hope everybody is doing well on this Friday, January the 23rd. A little bit unorganized today, and I know you're not expecting to see me leading off the show today, but my man Rich Mancuso needed a break this week, so he is taking the night off. You know, Rich Mancuso is a very busy man, so I think he's entitled to have a week off. So we'll welcome him back next week. But for now, I have the keys to the show, and I'll be doing the show today. We won't be too long. We're going to talk about the big card tonight and the big card tomorrow. You know, you may not think it's a big card. I think it's a big card because it's a night of boxing, and it's a new player in town. And we're talking about Zuffa Boxing, or Zuffa TKO, or whatever you want to call it. Now, I won't be on screen too much. I'm going to go ahead and put the avatar a little bit because I do have some notes I want to read, and I got to put my glasses on, and I don't want you guys making fun of me. All right, even though you guys make fun of me already, it's all good. You know, I appreciate it because I can snap back. But today we're going to do the show a little bit different, and I'm running the show this week. I got no guest this week, so I know people that know me know that I don't really like doing the show by myself. You know what I'm saying? I usually have a co-host with me. Like I will have later on tonight, we're going to be covering the main card of Zuffa Boxing on my channel later on this evening, TD Sports Talk. But nevertheless, I am Tommy D, a.k.a. Thomas from the Bronx, a.k.a. TD Sports Talk. You know, you can catch me every Sunday with my man Pedro Fernandez on Ring Talk Worldwide in the Sports Byline USA website. And you can also go to the Sports Byline YouTube page, and you can catch us there every Sunday, 2:05 Eastern Standard Time. But let's get to it. Let me see who's in the building real quick, and then we'll go to it. My man Papi Chun Yayo up in here, man. Salute to you. Hope all is well with you. Already, he says, already removing Box's ability to receive sponsorship. No comment. No comment on that. You know what I mean? My man D Free is in there. He said, I didn't know Justin Timberlake wore glasses. He did. All right, and I'm wearing glasses or whatever. He says Dana White is a play. I am going to say anything. What's that? I don't know. And AKA, how you doing, AKA, how you doing, Paisan? Salute to everybody in the building as you come through. I'll be interacting with the chat as much as I can. Like I said, do things a little bit differently from Rich. He likes to put the comments on the screen. I'll be doing that as well, and we can interact as well. But first things first, let's get to what we're here to talk about. We're going to talk about this. Zuffa 01, kind of like UFC, right? UFC 1, UFC 2, and they got the numbers. I guess they're going to go with that as well. It's a decent card. You know, the main event of the fight is Kalen Walsh versus Carlos Ocampo, and they got a couple of decent fights. I do believe the best fight is going to be the first fight on the main card. We'll get to it in just a little bit. But first things first, the main event. Kalen Walsh versus Carlos Ocampo. Kalen Walsh, 15-0, 11 KOs. He's from Cork Island. We're taking on the former title challenger, and Carlos Ocampo, who's 38-3 with 26 KOs from Mexico. Carlos Ocampo has been around. He's been, first he was undefeated fighter at 147 a while ago and took on Errol Spence, and he was stopped in the first round. And he was also stopped in the first round at 154 versus Tim Tszyu, and he lost a unanimous decision against Fundora in a fight that he hurt Fundora a few times in that fight. So Carlos Ocampo, a worthy opponent, but every time he has stepped up in competition, he has been stopped. So Kalen Walsh, I've seen him a few times, and I've seen him in person a couple of times as well. Kalen Walsh has been over here in New York, especially during, St. Patty's weekend. And, he has a good following. I think he's got star potential. So that's just why, Zuffa is kind of leading off with him at the main event, right? Because he has that star potential. He has a good Irish backing. And he is a good fighter. He has Freddie Roach as his trainer. He has a good strength and conditioning coach as well. And I believe his name is Pedro Garcia, who's really, really good. He works with a bunch of fighters out there in California. So shout out to him. But Kalen Walsh, really good looking fighter, southpaw, now moving up. This is going to be at 160 pounds. This is going to be his first fight, I believe, at 160 at the middleweight division. You know, he was campaigning at 154. You know, one time when it was brought to my attention that he was going to come in and fight, he fought a friend of mine here in the Bronx, Ishmael Villarreal, in a fight that I thought Maella won. But nevertheless, I always thought that, you know, the fight to make in the future, if they build enough momentum, would be him versus Xander Zayas here in New York. I think that would have been a major fight. Not to say that that can't happen in the future, but nevertheless, I do believe this kid's got star power. But to have star power, you gotta win fights, and you gotta, you know, step up your game in competition, and you gotta win titles. And you know, it's good to, you know, to look good, and it's good to have the following, but you know, you got to build yourself up a little bit more. I guess Zuffa is going to kind of, you know, focus on him as he's being presented as on the first main event on this Zuffa Boxing platform, right? So, nevertheless, let me make my prediction. I believe this fight doesn't last more than 4 rounds. I've got Kalen Walsh winning in stoppage by the 4th round over Carlos Ocampo. Let me take a look at the chat, see if anybody's saying anything. Walsh is going up in weight. Yeah, he's moving up to 160. He says, I didn't know your talent. Hey, Mr. Shelton, always trying to throw me off my gate, and he does a very good job at that. I'm not even going to comment. Yeah, 160 because they only have, they're going to, supposedly they're going back to the old traditional 8 division weight classes. But speaking of the weight classes, speaking of Zuffa Promotions, TKO, whatever Dana White is doing, to me, it seems like they're going to be nothing more than another promotional company. Yeah, they're going to have their own title, but it seems like they're going to let fighters do what they want as far as collecting belts. We're going to talk about that later. I just want to go into the card a little bit more. Right now, I'm watching the card on mute, and my man Cashflow Diaz is fighting right now against Gutierrez in the undercard on Paramount Plus. So how you doing? So another fight in this card that I'm very intrigued about is Omar Trinidad. Omar Trinidad is taking on Max Ornelas. I did a video on Omar Trinidad. You can check it out. I like this kid. I think he's an old school type of fighter, throwback. He's from LA. You know, he has knockout power. He's a fighter, like a legit throwback fighter. I like him. He's ranked in the top 15 in the featherweight division, which is a loaded division, the featherweight division. He's ranked, I believe, number 15 overall. I think that's by BoxRec, if I'm not mistaken. He's 19-0-2 with two draws. He has 13 knockouts from LA. He had a tough fight, his last fight, and his last fight was against Lorenzo Parra. Lorenzo Parra is going to have a good fight, have a big fight coming up with Elijah Diaz. In that fight, it was a tough fight. Lorenzo Parra, a very awkward fighter. I believe Trinidad won the fight in a very close fight. I'm not saying it was any robbery, but it was scored a draw. So Trinidad looks to kind of rebound and get back on the winning track. And he's taking on Max Ornelas, who's 17-6 with 2 draws. He has 6 KOs. He's also from the California area. Notable names on his record, he's lost to Floyd Cashflow Diaz by unanimous decision, I think like 2 fights ago. So this is an intriguing fight. Omar Trinidad, another 360 Promotions guy that's signed with Zuffa Boxing, right? That's not going to be under that stable. So looking forward to them. I think he's going to be the main event on the undercard. So he might be the next fight after this Floyd Diaz fight right now. And speaking of Floyd Diaz, he's fighting right now. Floyd Cashflow Diaz. We haven't seen him in a while. We haven't seen him since since September of 2024. You know, I don't know if any of you know this. Cashflow Diaz, who's 13-0 with 3 KOs, he was signed with the Money Team, if I'm not mistaken, trained out there in the Money TMT boxing gym out here in Las Vegas. He got into some trouble back in 2025, April 2025. He was caught in driving a stolen car with possession of an illegal firearm, if I'm not mistaken. So he looks, I'm sure he's kind of settles his legal troubles in 2025, and he looks to come back and bounce back here in 2026. And right now he's fighting right now. I'm not paying too much attention to it, but he's taking on He's taking on Guillermo Gutierrez, who's 13-2 with 1 KO out of Texas. So, Castro looks to bounce back and get his career on the right path. He's had some problems. He's had the difference of trainers in the last few fights. I got to see him, I believe it was 2 years ago here in Madison Square Garden. He won a fight. I thought he dropped the guy. I thought he could have done better. I thought he could have stopped him, but he didn't. But Castro Diaz is a good talent. Once signed with the money team and Floyd Mayweather, now I guess he's going to be under the Zuffa Promotions banner. And this leads me to what I think should be the main event, which I think probably is the best fight in the card. I think you guys need to sit down and watch this fight. This is going to be an action-packed fight. Both guys bring it. Both guys are knockout artists. Both guys come to fight, and there's been a lot of trash talk leading to this fight. This is a welterweight bout where Cain Sandoval, another guy I've been talking about a lot on my channel, Cain Sandoval, 17-0, 15 knockouts. He's a knockout specialist, but fought at super lightweight, which is 140 pounds. He's stepping up in weight at welterweight to take on Julian Rodriguez. Julian Rodriguez is 24-1 with 15 KOs. That one loss has been to a few years ago to Pedraza, but last year had a big upset. Might have been one of the upsets of the year. I'm surprised it wasn't ranked, but they had he beat what's this guy's name? Avius Griffin, who was undefeated and who was supposed to be the big, he's like one of the big signings that MVP made, but Julian Rodriguez went in there, and I thought he had a fantastic second half of the fight, and he ended up stopping Griffin. So, Cain Sandoval and Julian Rodriguez both coming off 10th round knockouts, which is crazy. Both finished the fights a 10th round. Cain Sandoval didn't look as great as he normally looked in his last fight versus Gino Rodriguez. It was a tough fight, but he closed the show well and had a devastating knockout in his fight. This fight is going to be a great fight, and I can't wait for this fight. I think this fight is going to be the best fight on the card. You don't want to miss this fight. Both guys are talking trash. I didn't like the way Cain looked at the weigh-in. Julian Rodriguez looked phenomenal at the weigh-in. Cain didn't look, as good as I probably would have wanted him to, but sometimes, but looking good at weight doesn't win you fights, right? So we're going to see what happens tonight. But I don't think this fight goes 10 rounds. I really don't. I think somebody's getting stopped in this fight. Which coincidentally, I would have thought that Rodriguez, being that he's fought at 147 comfortably for years, the only thing is his inactivity. Cain Sandoval has been more active than Julian Rodriguez. Julian Rodriguez is struggling to get fights. He's out here in New Jersey, and Sandoval's been more active. But the odds have it kind of different. They've got Cain as the betting favorite, which I don't necessarily agree with. He's a betting favorite minus 150, plus 220 for him to win by knockout, while Rodriguez is a betting underdog at plus 120 and plus 450 by knockout. So if you want to make some money here and you like upsets, taking Julian Rodriguez by knockout is probably the way to go. If you want to win some bread, I think that's highly, likable to happen. Although I am picking Cain Sandoval to win, I'm not going to jump off the wagon that quick. I'm a Cain Sandoval fan, so I'm picking Cain Sandoval to win in a late stoppage. I want to say like 8th or 9th round, Cain Sandoval win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Julian Rodriguez stops Cain as well. Both guys came in great shape as far as weight is concerned, not on how they look. Cain came in at 144.5 and Rodriguez came in at 144, both under the limit of 147 by a few pounds. So credit to both fighters making weight for this fight. But that's the card, man. There's some other fights on this card, as well. I'm gonna go to the chat a little bit. I'm gonna mention a couple other things as far as Zuffa Boxing is concerned. But let me just read some of the comments real quick. Papi Chunyeo says Diaz is doing his thing. Okay, I haven't been paying attention. I've seen a couple of things in here, but okay, good to know. Good for him as well. It says it's a good fight so far. My man Marky Dan in here saying salute. And my man John Fireman here saying salute as well. Salute to you guys. I appreciate you guys coming through and rocking with me. Poppy says, I'm riding with Rodriguez on this fight. Kane only goes forward. I agree. I didn't. But Kane is a straightforward fighter. Be interested to see how he be on the back foot. Julian Rodriguez, very aggressive too, but he can box a little bit too. So I agree. I just don't want to jump off the wagon. That's the only thing. It's funny because in the fight pool that I'm in, I didn't know where the weight was going to be for this fight. I thought the fight was going to be at 140. So I originally picked Julian Rodriguez and I switched it to Kane, being that it's at 147, which is not necessarily smart, right? I think Julian at 147 would probably be more comfortable, but and he made weight pretty well. But yeah, I don't think that's a bad prediction. Like I said, I think it's a 50-50 fight. He said I put a couple. That's not a bad move, man. With the odds, absolutely, I would do the same thing. My man 903's in here. 903 Boxing. Salute to you, man. Thanks for coming through. And I'm not sure what Mr. Shelton's trying to do and throw me off yet again. Tendernism. I'm sure it's a joke that I'm not picking up on. I like Sandoval. I picked him every fight except this one. Okay, I don't blame you. Sandoval's, he's an action fight. He looks good in the eyes if you like fighting, right? He's not necessarily going to outbox you. He can box a little bit, and he does set traps. I seen him when he dropped Wesley Ferreira here in New York. He set a trap and comatose him with an uppercut. If you go watch the highlights of that fight, watch that fight. He can set traps. You know what I'm saying? And he has a good team around him, and he gets good work with good sparring. He sparred with Devin Haney a couple times last year, if I'm not mistaken. So he, and then being in the Roach gym, I'm sure he's getting good work as well. So listen, I just think this is a great fight. Both guys, as far as experience, Rodriguez has the edge, but Kane has been in the ring with some really, really good talent as well as far as sparring. So, what's that term that everybody says? Iron sharpens iron. So, him working in Freddie Roach's gym, I think is a plus for him. You know what I'm saying? So, tender meat falling off the bone. Okay. I can't, man. Two Scissor, what's good with you, man? Salute. Hopefully all is well. Thanks for coming through. You guys are a trip. But another big news as far as Zuffa Boxing is concerned has been the signing of Jai Opataya. So it seems like Zuffa Boxing is just another promotional company. Forget this TKO league. Yeah, they're going to have their own belt eventually or whatever. But it just looks like they're just another promotional company where they're going to sign other fighters. They also signed Rayo, who's supposedly going to be leading their second card, I think, next month. Rayo Jose Valenzuela, who's 14-3 with nine KOs. I believe he's gonna be one of the main fights. He's going to be in one of the main fights in the second Zuffa card. So it looks like they're trying to sign other guys as well. Jai Opataya, I guess he's from Tasman Boxing Fighters. I think they're a manager and a boxing promotional company, as well as Gold Star Promotions. Apparently, Jai Opataya and his team feels like this is the, this signing is going to help him get the big fights to fight on bigger stages, right? Tonight is not a big stage. They're fighting in a little arena, the last I checked. But if that's what he feels, maybe that's, that's a step forward, for Dana White and Zuffa Boxing, another thing as far as Dana White is concerned, he kind of admits that him saying that he wants to be done with the belts, was a little bit too aggressive. That's his words. He felt like it was just, a little bit too aggressive. He says he will work with Jai and other fighters, as far as getting them what they want. So Jai Opataya, he wants to be undisputed at cruiserweight. He wants the Zerdos. He wants, the David Benavidez. If David Benavidez was to beat Zerdo in May, he wants those fights. So according to Dana White, he's going to let that happen. He's going to do everything in his power to help Jai Opataya get undisputed. So, kind of a counter run play, right? Like he's going one way and he's going the other way. Dana White kind of going in the other direction, right? So more to come in the future with Zuffa Boxing, but it looks like they're going to, kind of just be another promotional company. That's kind of how the way I see it right now. And as far as Zuffa Boxing concerned, didn't I call this? I called this like last year when they first announced TKO League. Didn't I say that the fighters under 360 Promotions and Tom Loeffler we're going to end up being one of the first fighters on TKO. Already today, you got 2 fighters from 360. 3, excuse me. Kalen Walsh, Omar Trinidad, and Kane Sandoval. All 360 promotion fighters fighting in this TKO Zuffa Boxing League. And also signed to Zuffa Boxing is Zerhei Boachuk. You know him. He was the one that gave Virgil Ortiz a tough battle a couple of summers ago. They also have Umar Dazapikov, and they have the WBO super flyweight women's champion from Japan, Mizuki Aruta. So that's a big help. You kind of knew that because a lot of the fights that 360 promotions were putting up were on the UFC Fight Pass or Fight Zone, whatever that channel was that UFC uses. And Dana White was at all those events. So you kind of figured that when Dana White was going to get involved, that Tom Loeffler would kind of fall in line. And, as I'm watching this fight here right now, Tom Loeffler's in the front row, so you can see Tom Loeffler there sitting there, watching his fighters, I guess. So, yeah, so 360 Promotions has a lot to do with Zuffa Boxing or the other way around. So, but yours truly predicted it. That's all. I just want to, go ahead and pat myself on the back. Let me see what else I see at Facts. None have got one to fight if you create a magic op. Yeah, yes indeed, yes indeed. That's it for as far as Zuffa Boxing is concerned. Let's talk a little bit about tomorrow's card. Tomorrow's card, we got a big fight, big main event. Going to be on the Zone, promoted by Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. You have Andy Cruz, 6-time gold medalist in the amateurs. He's got 1 Olympic gold medal. He's a 3-time world champion gold medalist and a 2-time Pan Am gold medalist. That's 6 gold medals for Andy Cruz, who has 6 professional bouts. And his 7th professional bout will be against the IBF interim champion in Raymond Muratalla, who's 23-0 with 17 KOs out of Cali. Both guys close to 30, as Andy Cruz is 30, that we know about. We know that Cuban fighters, we never know what their real ages are. Kind of an inside joke, kidding but not kidding. And then Raymond Muratalla, 29 years old. Raymond Muratalla has been a pro for almost 10 years, but only has 23 fights. I'm not sure what has happened with his career, how he's been managed, how he's been promoted. But to me, 10 years, almost 10 years of the pro and 23 fights, honestly, I don't think that's good. That's just my opinion on it. I think Raymond Muratalla is a good fighter. I think he may be a little bit overrated. He does seem to get better with each fight, but there's some fights where he didn't look as good as he was supposed to, right? I thought he lost to Tevin Farmer a couple years ago, and he got the win against Tevin Farmer. And, his last fight, he fought Zaire Abdullayev, right? I'm killing and butchering these names. But Zaire Abdullayev, whatever his name is, he won a unanimous decision. He won almost every round in that fight. But I was figuring he would stop him. This is the same guy that got stopped badly by Devin Haney a few years ago. But Raymond Muratalla, who's a big, strong puncher, couldn't get him out of there. So he's coming off that win. Both fighters look good on the scale. Andy came in at 134.4, and Raymond Muratalla came in at 134.6. So this is a really good fight. I'm picking Andy Cruz to win this fight. I think he outboxes him. I think I'm picking him to win in a split decision because I feel like there'll be one judge that's gonna, give the fight to Muratalla. But I wouldn't sleep on Muratalla in this fight because I think he's gonna have opportunities to land something on Andy Cruz, and we don't really know how well Andy Cruz can take a punch. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if Muratalla was gonna win, I could see him getting a stoppage. Andy Cruz has been, ever since he's been with Bozy, he's been a little bit more aggressive, been fighting in the pocket a little bit more than, what he used to do, especially as far as the amateurs and that Cuban style. So that puts him in chances where, he's sitting on his punches more, but that gets him in situations where, he can get hit as well. You feel me? So very intriguing fight. I am picking Andy Cruz in this fight. Guys in the chat, let me know who you think wins in this fight. I think this is a good fight for both fighters. It's a step up for both fighters. Raymond Muratalla, like I said, 10 years as a pro, first big fight. He's the interim world champion. because I believe he got it, off a vacancy. And Andy Cruz going for his first world title to add to that trophy list. It's those 6 gold medals. You know what I'm saying? So I'm intrigued as what you guys think as far as this matchup. What does Tommy D stand for? My last name. What does that man gonna knock it? Oh, so you got Andy Cruz by knockout? I can see that. I can see that happening too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I never seen Muratalla really, in trouble like that. So, but it is boxing. Anything can happen. I don't necessarily, think it will happen, but anything can happen. I do think Andy Cruz is the better of the 2 fighters. So, and then Papi Chunyeyo, he's going against the grain. He says Muratalla by KO. No, I'm not mad at that. It can happen. It can happen. Not. Oh my God! I just missed the last fight, and right now Omar Trinidad's coming in. I want to see this fight. Hopefully, I catch at least the second half of the fight if it goes the distance. But not Maine. I can't say it, Shelton. Stop. I can't. Anyway, also on this card is in the undercard of this fight, we have Khalil Cole versus Jesse Hart. Very upsetting news today in the weigh-in as Khalil Cole came in overweight. Very, very unprofessional. This is a fighter that I like, a fighter that I rock with, a fighter that I met in person a few times. Very cool individual. Out here, he's out in New Jersey, but got to call it for what it is. Very unprofessional. He came in at 182.8 pounds, and the fight is set at light heavy for 175. That's almost 8 pounds over the limit. That is insane. That is very unprofessional. I'm surprised this fight is still going to go on. Jesse Hart, I guess they must have worked something out. But Jesse Hart, 31-3 with 25 KOs out of Philly. I guess they worked something out. They are going to be at this. They're going to make the fight. This fight is going to happen. And I don't know what to expect in this fight. I mean, Khalil Cole, he looked in good shape, but out of shape, right? You know what I'm saying? It looked like he didn't even try to make weight. I mean, how can you try to make weight and still be almost 8 pounds over? That's insane, bro. That's crazy. And Jesse Hart, the weigh-in looked funny. They bouncing up and down at the weigh-in, pretty entertaining. They both shoved each other and everything, but I don't know. I still think Khalil Cole wins this fight. Khalil Cole coming off a big knockout victory where he avenged the loss to Manuel Gallegos. He looked phenomenal, especially with the power jab. But Jesse Hart, no slouch, man. 25 KOs and 31 wins. This should be a good fight. But it kind of loses credibility as far as, because the guy comes in overweight like that. It's like, who's serious and who's not, and it kind of messes up the fight for me, in all honesty. What do you guys think about that? Let me look at the comments real quick. Yeah. Might have to change a pick. Yeah. But, the thing with that is that, as funny as it sounds, he looked good, but didn't make the weight, right? Like, it's like he didn't even try. It's like he worked out and, like, trained and just, like, said, F the weight. You know what I'm saying? Like Mr. Shaw, he said, yeah, that's basically what he did. That's crazy, bro. Charlie, I agree. Charlie Burley would be both in the same night. Charlie Burley, one of the greatest fighters of all time, in my opinion. This fight was already, because Cole pulled out, because that is true as well. So I don't know what to expect. It's kind of a downer. Like I said, I like Khalil Cole. I rock with Khalil Cole. I know his former trainer, Eric Roman. He doesn't train him anymore. Like I said, I met him a couple times. Very cool, down to earth individual. But there's no coming back from this. This is bad. This is bad. 8 pounds over is a whole. It's a whole damn healthy baby. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. It's like you're 1,000% right. That's crazy, bro. That is crazy. Also on this card, they're going to be showcases. Israel Madrimov is back in action. He's taking on a Hammer Egger or somebody I don't know. yeah, it's not fair for me to call the guy a ham and egg, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really know much of his opponent. The big prospect that I like, Omari Jones, will be on the card 4-0. Omari Jones and my guy, super featherweight out of Newark, New Jersey, who trains and works with Shakur Stevenson. Zaquin Moses is going to be showcased as well. And the other card, he's 5-0, campaigning at super featherweight, excuse me. So those are good showcase fighters to go look at and watch them. Nice up and coming prospects, the future of our sport. So I really like Zaquin Moses. I think he's the goods. I think he can box and he has some pop too. So and he talks a good game too. I like it. So look out for him. And Omari Jones, I think he's an incredible talent as well. So that's your two cards. That's your card for tonight, Zuffa. And then tomorrow night we have the matchroom fight. The zone. Andy Cruz taking on Rabin Muratalla. Give me a second, guys. We're going to take a quick break, right? Because I got to do these breaks, and I don't want to be on too long because we're going to host the main event, and I do want to see some of this Omar Trinidad fight. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break, pay the bills real quick, and we'll be right back with more boxing, and we'll get into some wrestling. We got the fact of the week that I want you guys. It's an easy fact of the week. So somebody in the comments better get it right, and then we'll do a little bit of nostalgia. We'll go back in time and talk about an old fight. So we'll be right back in about 30 seconds.
Low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
And we're back at Keeping in the Ring program. This is your boy, your host, Tommy D, a.k.a. Thomas from the Bronx. And we got a little bit more boxing news, and then we'll get into the wrestling portion of the show. The Ryan Garcia segment. I feel like every week with Pedro, we have a Devin Haney segment on the radio. So here on Keeping in the Ring, we have the Ryan Garcia segment. Ryan Garcia, total waste of time, in my opinion. Just not likable. I don't know if you like him. I don't. I think he's bad for boxing, and he's going to be taking on Mario Barrios. They had the press conference yesterday to announce the fighting for the 147 WBC welterweight title. Mario Barrios is the champion. Ryan Garcia getting another opportunity at a world title, an opportunity that he does not deserve. Just coming off the suspension, he went in against Rolly Romero and lost in a fight that he was picked to win, in a fight they kind of set up for him to win, to set up a future bout and a rematch with Devin the Dream Haney, and he lost. He got dropped and lost. But this clown is getting another opportunity. The WBC has ranked him number one to Mario Barrios, and he's going to get yet again another opportunity at a world title. An opportunity, yes, I said it already like 3, 4, 5 times, to fight for a world title against Mario Barrios. Yesterday, the press conference was a spit show, spit with an H, as Ryan Garcia made a fool of himself again, going and attacking Joe Goosen, who he trained him, a guy that he fired, but yet he calls Joe Goosen a traitor. And as you see here on the right side, you got the other piece of spit with an H, Oscar De La Hoya, who promotes Ryan Garcia, over here smiling and stuff. So I don't know what to expect from this fight. I'm hoping that Barrios wins. I have a feeling that Ryan Garcia will get the victory. I don't think much of Mario Barrios. I do respect Mario Barrios. He's been in there with some good fighters, even though he's lost to a couple of them, what I'm saying? But, so I give him credit for that. He looked bad against Pacquiao in a fight that he should have won, in my opinion. So I don't think highly of Mario. I do respect Mario Barrios, but I don't know. I don't know what to call this fight, but except a spit show. Spit with an H. I stole that from Pedro Fernandez, by the way. So, yeah, that is the Ryan Garcia portion of the show. Other big news. Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder is back. He's going to be back against Derek Chisora in April. I believe it's going to be April 4th in London in the UK. Derek Chisora is going to be making his 15th pro fight. I think he's something like 36-13. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't write this down, but I think he's 36-13. So this would be his 50th pro fight against Deontay Wilder, which some say is a tune-up fight. I don't personally think it's a tune-up fight. People are saying that if he wins this fight, he will be getting the fight with Usyk for the world title here in the United States. Some people say it's going to be in San Francisco. Others are saying it could be in Vegas. Nevertheless, if Deontay Wilder does win this fight, I think he will get the opportunity to fight for a world title again against Usyk. Is this a tune-up? I don't think it's a tune-up. I think this is a tough fight. It's a tough fight for Deontay Wilder, who hasn't been very active. Chisora has been a little bit more active than him. I think activity does help, but it's a step up. It's a good way for Deontay to kind of gauge to see where he's at. Chisora is a good fighter, man. Another good fighter. He's a game fighter. He's a dog, right? He's got some power. He goes in there, he's not afraid of anybody, and I don't think he's going to go in there being afraid of Deontay Wilder. I do have Deontay Wilder winning this fight in devastating fashion. I think he stops Chisora in less than 3 rounds. But seeing, is believing, so we'll wait to see that. But that is big news out of here for the States and big news for Wilder fans as well. And a couple other news in the boxing world. Zayas versus Baru next week for the unification at the 154 super welterweight division. That fight has just been announced. Top Rank has announced that this fight will be on Tubi. Yes, Tubi will be airing this fight. I believe they already have a Top Rank Classic channel or something like that. So you could catch Zayas versus Baru next Saturday night, 5:30 Eastern time. I guess the undercard starts, I would think. The main event says starting at 10 o'clock. There's a big night of boxing on January 31st. A lot of world title fights, 3 different cards. You got the other super welterweight title on the line with Bakram taking on Kelly in the UK earlier in the day. And then you have Shakur Stevenson taking on Teofimo Lopez in the ring card here in New York. So January 31st, it's a big sports day. I also think it's the Royal Rumble too. I think the Royal Rumble is next Saturday too. So Saturday, January 31st is a big, busy day as far as keeping in the ring is concerned, right? As far as boxing and wrestling. So there you have it with that news there. And last, and I don't know if we should say least or not least, Gervonta Tank Davis seems to be on the run. He is wanted by the U.S. Marshals, by police for his, the alleged victim that happened in Miami in the strip club. Not sure what's going on here, but made big news this week as far as him being wanted by, the police. Also, the WBA has stripped him of his title, but still named him as champion in recess. There's your Tank. I think we're going to have a Tank Davis segment too. We have segments, different segments of the show, and but I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Why is he on the run? Why isn't he turning himself in? A lot of things about this. I don't want to get into detail about it. I don't even want to give my opinion on it, but I figured if we're reporting the news, let's report it. He's wanted. They're looking for him. He hasn't been in a ring in almost a year, since March 1st, 2025. And looks like he's going to be out of the ring much, much more with all the legal problems that he has. So we wish, I don't know what to wish him. I don't know if we wish him the best or not. I'm going to go to the comments and see what everybody else thinks before we move on to the wrestling portion of the show. So let's see what's going on. My man BVO's in here. Says salute to Radamez. I guess it's Tommy D, a.k.a. Radamez now. Greg Hackett said earlier they like the 8 pounds over because it shows he didn't train right. Right. And Greg Hackett, I guess he's representing Jesse Hart out there in Philadelphia. Let me see what else going on. I'm trying to get all the comments. The real show is real versus Coach Hackett. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to get to the comments. Warchesora. Facio Falcon. Salute to you, sir, man. Thank you for coming through. That's my guy here out of the Bronx. Future 130-pound champion, Facio Falcon in the building. Salute to you. I should have had you come up here and be my special guest today. But next time, we got you next time, bro. And nobody really commenting on Tank Davis as they should probably, I guess, or should not. I just heard Usyk might fight Ruiz next year. Well, speaking of that, Tyson Fury has been looking to fight Ruiz as well. So not sure what's going on. Andy Ruiz hasn't fought in like almost 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. I think his last fight was against, was it Jamel Miller? Was that his last fight? I think that was his last fight. So I'm not sure what's going on. But you know what? Speaking of that, before we go to the wrestling portion of the show, let's go to the fact of the week. Because that's my fact of the week is a weird fact of the week, but an easy one, and I want to see if anybody gets it. So speaking of John Ruiz we know is a big guy. Tyson Fury also coming back, making news, saying he's coming out of retirement. I believe that was last week's news, but another big guy as far as heavyweight. But the fact of the week, can anybody get it? Who was the heaviest world champion known to date? Who was the heaviest world champion ever? It wasn't Andy Ruiz and it wasn't Tyson Fury. That's my fact of the week. And if you could tell me the weight and get a bonus, that'll be great too. If you give me like an estimate. But the heaviest world champion ever in boxing. If anybody give me, I'll give you guys like 30 seconds. It's easy. It's easy. And don't Google it. It's pretty easy. I'll give you guys some time to come up with this, with the fact of the week. I'll give you like 10 more seconds, guys. 10 more seconds. Nope, it wasn't George Foreman. Yeah, but I need a name. I need a name, Marky Dan. That's cheating. I need a name. I could say he lost his belt to David Haye, which is a fact as well. But I need a name, Marky Dan. Which you're on the right track. The heaviest fighter in boxing history. And if you could give me the weight, that'll be great too. Give me an estimate. But you're on the right path. 5 seconds, guys. 5 seconds. Yeah. You're right, but you guys got to give me a name. Gruliev. That's close. I'll give it to you. Nikolai Valulev. He came in at about, I think the biggest weight he came in as like 353, but in a world title fight, I think he was at about 317 pounds, which is a world record. 300. I think he's coming as high as 350 pounds, but not in a world title fight. But in a world title fight, he was 317 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it was Nikolai Valuev, right? Yeah, 350, but I don't think it was a world title fight. It was just a regular fight. According to what I saw in the World Guinness Book, the World Guinness Records, it was 317 pounds, something like that. So almost 320. And this guy's the worst. But that is your fact of the week, guys. We're about to close the show. I'm going to go to one quick commercial break. We'll do some wrestling. Saturday's night main event is tomorrow. And then we'll do some nostalgia. And then we'll say goodbye and good night. All right. So bear with me. We'll go to a quick commercial break. And I know BVO is hungry. So we'll go to the pizza ad.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. All right, guys, we're back. We're going to close out the show. We're going to do a little bit of wrestling talk tomorrow night. You know, we're kicking off the WrestleMania season, right? It kind of kicked off in Monday Night Raw, on the first Monday Night Raw in January. But
as far as the big card, Saturday's night main event tomorrow night. Um, a couple of fights on the card. One of the fights we got Cody Rhodes taking on Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu will be taking on Cody Rhodes in a kind of a match where Jacob Fatu kind of cost Cody Rhodes his world title. There you go, right there. Jacob Fatu main event. I expect an upset in this fight. You know, Cody Rhodes is the brand's main fighter, is the biggest, I guess, one of their biggest stars. You know, he's kind of like the baby face of the company. But I think we're going to see an upset tomorrow. I think Jacob Fatu comes back, and I think he defeats Cody Rhodes, whether it's clean or not. But I like Jacob Fatu to pull off the upset tomorrow night in Montreal. The card is in Montreal tomorrow night. You can catch it on Peacock and I believe NBC. But I like Jacob Fatu to pull the upset. Another fight in the card is the tag team titles. As far as Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, they'll be defending their tag team titles. AKA called Rio. Stupid. They'll be taking on the Judgment's Day, Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. I expect Team Rio, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky to come out victorious. And the main event of the card is to see who is going to be the number one contender to Drew McIntyre's title, and they'll be fighting in the Royal Rumble. My apologies. Can you guys hear me? It kicked me off for whatever reason. I have this line in on my phone. I'm not sure. I'm having problems on my laptop here. It's pretty weird. I got to kind of restart the laptop, but I'm on my phone. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me see if I can enter again. Just bear with me. I apologize for the inconvenience. Live TV. What can I say? Okay, I think we're back. Let me know if you guys can hear me, please. If you guys in the chat, please let me know. I apologize. Something's going on with the laptop and StreamYard. It kicked me out. I had to restart it. But if you guys can hear me, let me know. Let me go back to what I was saying as far as the four-way dance. You know, Sami Zayn, Trick Williams, Randy Orton, Damian Priest. Some people, thank you too, Sis. I appreciate it. Some people believe that Trick Williams here is going to have the upset and win and make a statement and challenge for the world title. He's a former NXT champion, but I truly believe, being that it's in Montreal, being that it's in Canada, I think Sami Zayn will end up winning the four-way dance. That's my prediction for Saturday's night main event. I believe Sami Zayn will go on to defeat Trick Williams, Randy Orton, Damian Priest, and he'll go on and challenge for the world title against Drew McIntyre. So that is the wrestling portion of the show. I apologize once again for the technicalities. Of course, it's going to happen to me when I'm running the show by myself, but it is what it is. But moving on, let's go to nostalgia, and then we'll close the show. Appreciate everybody coming through with me. But let's go back in time. We're going to go back in time to January 22nd, 1973, right? That was yesterday, back in 1973. What is that, like almost, 50 years ago? Almost 50 years ago yesterday, Joe Frazier versus George Foreman, the first fight. George Foreman beat Joe Frazier in 226 in round number 2. Big fight. George Foreman came in at 218 pounds versus Joe Frazier at 214. Joe Frazier defending his world title to George Foreman. George Foreman becoming the new champion. This fight was in Jamaica. Referee Arthur McCanty. And the attendance for this fight was 36,000 people. The gate was a whopping $412,000. And this fight was shown on closed circuit television in 225 locations in the U.S. and Canada. The purse for this card was that Joe Frazier was guaranteed $850,000 against 42.5% of all income, and Foreman was guaranteed $375,000 against 20% of all income. So Joe Frazier was a 3.5 to 1 favorite by Las Vegas odds, and they both wore 8-ounce gloves. Frazier was knocked down 3 times in the first round and 3 times in the second round before referee Arthur McCanty stopped the fight. So that is your boxing nostalgia this week. I hope I did my guy Rich Mancuso and made him proud as I took over this week. Kind of sped through it a little bit. We didn't have no special guests this week, but I definitely do appreciate everybody that came through in the comments, came through, hit the like button, and please go ahead and subscribe to Rich Mancuso and his YouTube channel as well. And look forward in a few minutes, probably in about 5 minutes or so, I'll be on live again, and I'll be doing a fight call for the main event. Me and my man MVO Sports will be doing the fight call for the main card of the Zuffa Boxing card, starting with the card that I think the fight that's going to be the best fight of the night, Cain Sandoval against Julian Rodriguez. But definitely appreciate everybody, coming through. Next week we look to have Rich coming back, and we'll catch you guys next week. We'll have a special guest. Hopefully bring back Robbie Rebel and have the Rebel Rant back as well. So there you have it. Hopefully you guys did a nice fact of the week for you guys. Also did some nostalgia. 50 years ago, if I'm doing my math correct, I believe that's 50 years ago, right? Frazier and Foreman, number 1. And we look forward to next week, see what happens. You guys be well. I don't see anybody much commenting. I appreciate you guys. Was this Jay? Appreciate you coming through. Appreciate you guys coming through as well. And as my man Rich says, all the time, and what we say here in the program, guys, be safe. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the fights. If you're in the East Coast, do your best to avoid the big snowstorm that is coming, and keep it in the ring. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.